What is up, buds? Welcome to WeeDnD, the plot positive live tabletop role-playing experience. I am your dungeon master for the night, Brandon Allen McClenahan, but my buds call me Bam. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Holy crap, dudes, we did Sesh 60 last week, which means we are definitely finalizing the arc as we wind down toward the end of the prelude to the world of Ganjaria, where magic comes from the plant of the Feywild, GANJA. All right, sorry. I have been doing quite a bit of my wizard gig. My pipes are still a little thrashed, but thank you for bearing with me. I'll try to stay hydrated. You do the same. Make sure that you're sipping along, drinking some water at home. That includes you, Darkopolyps. Even you. All right, guys, we've been firing away on our side of things. I've been putting a little more work into the world of Ganjaria as we kind of prepare to launch the official beast into the world. I'm really freaking excited about it. We have been doing some work behind the scenes on some of our Monster Mash concept, building some fun layouts. We're really going to build on that idea. Thanks to all the buds who sent us notes and ideas. I've got some really great stuff. One dude homebrewed an entire set of rules and sent them my way, and it really cool stuff, man. Big shout out to all the new buds. We've had a couple of new people find our little show here and stick around. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Joining us over on the Discord. Did be dropping over in the little thing. But we do have a Discord. A lot of the buds hang out there throughout the week. It is a good time. Great sounding board if you ever have questions or anything, either about the cannabis lifestyle or Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy, video games. Some of us have gotten together, played some Northgard, played some Valheim, played some Pokemon Unite. I'll be playing that Pokemon Unite, so if you be playing, get at me. But yeah, dude, it's just a great place where you can come hang out with the buds throughout the week. We are also on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. You can find us on all those at Art Hard Studios. And we have a massive, I think it just reached 1,500 members, the WeeDnD Hub group on Facebook, where just fire memes are dropped all the time. So honestly, I get messages from people all the time about the community, and it's just like, you guys are great, man. So I don't know how else to say it other than thank you so much for being awesome, wonderful people, being so welcoming to all the people that come along. And just for everything that you do for our little show here, man. This little piece of magic means the world to us. And the fact that it means anything to you guys makes it mean so much more to us. So thank you for all the constant support. Thanks for helping us get through some of the harder times that this last year certainly was and continues to be a little bit. And just making this such a fucking awesome place to be every week. We fucking love you. Fucking A, I'm excited. The only way for me to actually kick this show off, though, is to talk to my friend over here. I got to pass this magical joint through the interwebs to my dear and wonderful friend, Brenna Folger. Hey, Brenna. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing great, man. I'm just token my roken. How's everybody doing tonight? It's a beautiful Tuesday, and I am Brenna Folger, but you know me as Bruenor, the Serpent, the Serpent Slayer. And I was just thinking about my favorite video game franchises, fighting video game franchises, and you know what my favorite one is? Soul Calibur. Abby, what's your favorite video game, fighting game, video franchise?
Well, like, Smash Bros is cool, but I'm not gonna, like, go on a limb and say that's my favorite. I'm gonna be real. There's a lot of fighting in Secret Agent Barbie. It's not, like, PvP or anything, but, like, it's pretty cool. Check it out. Anyway, I'm WeeDnD, but around here, I'm Tynna Smoothhands, level 10 halfling cleric. Yeah, Secret Agent Barbie. What about you, Drew? Same question.
Thank you, baby. What up, y'all? Drew, Thoricus the Dwarf. God, my favorite video game fighting franchise, honestly, it depends on how you define fighting, but I'm old school, is like either GoldenEye tournaments in the barracks or like Tekken 3 was kind of my jam, or Tekken Tag Tournament, actually. That was my jam. But yeah, either one of those will work for me. But yeah, excited to continue on this journey, and Papa wants to hit level 11, get that third attack on. Just fuck people. All right, anyway, I'm good. Jake, here's to you, pal.
Ooh. Oh, delivered with a big roundhouse kick. Classic Tekken. I love you, best friend. And I love all you guys. Jake Taylor here as Rial Othrevan, the level 10 arcane trickster rogue. currently disguised as Captain Creefus, who, if you may not know, is living his life as a sea cucumber in a jar in the throat of a kraken. If you're not doing that, then what are you doing with your Tuesday? You're right here, and we're so glad that you are. Favorite fucking fighting game? That's a tough question, Brenna. I've always loved Mortal Kombat. Can't go wrong with Mortal Kombat. Sometimes the mechanics are goofed, sometimes the story's lame, but you know, it's always got a place in my heart. And you know who gets a flawless victory in that same heart? Is this guy. What's up, Gus?
Oh, thanks for passing that up, down, left, right, Jake. I am Gus Two Blunts Langley, and I will be playing your resident revenant Divit, the Bard Warlock. They're all great, but like, if I could just pick one, Mortal Kombat. Like, not to just be piggybacking off of Jake, but Goro during that entrance of the video game was fucking scary. I would like flip the console on and run out of the room and then come back and play. No joke. That being said, I'll never be afraid again. Bam, you're up.
Oh my gosh, still in one beautiful piece.
He's
all right, guys.
Anymore.
What?
He's not afraid anymore.
He's not afraid. Do you hear me? You hear that? All right. Well, my favorite fighting franchise, hands down, far and away, is Smash Brothers. It's where the men are separated from the boys. Admittedly, I'm a little rusty these days, but you give me a week on them sticks, I think I'll be about as good as anybody you know. So yeah, man, definitely. And I love Kirby. There's something about being Kirby that I just love and always will. All right, guys. Well, shit, I say we kick off this high fantasy adventure. But in order to do that, we got us a little ritual we like to do around here. Maybe you've heard about it. Maybe you haven't. We like to take a lighter like this. I'm still rocking the WeeDnD lighter, man. That's too fucking cool, Jake. Make sure we're not going to light any of our friends, family, or household pets on fire and go. Lighters up. Let's play some fucking D&D.
WeeDnD, high fantasy, literally for you and me. So load up bowl and make a roll to take control. WeeDnD.
Oh, yes. Oh, the theme song gets me every time. Big shout out to the man who does all of our original music, Sandy Stein. Just a brilliant guy. And all the music you hear in the show, completely original. And just how amazing is that? Speaking of that music, if you will please allow me to set the mood. When last we left the Ferocious Five, they stood aboard the Queen Anne within the mighty Kraken. Going along with the apparent ruse being spun by Divit, Bruenor allowed herself to be shackled and taken to the brig. Creefus took Joco as prisoner within the captain's quarters, and once inside, he offered Thoricus a contract, similar to the one inked by Divit. Signing it instead with a joke, the name Phil McCracken. Thoricus angered Creefus, who tortured Joco with the living chains that held him. Upon this sight, the five attempted to take out the captain while they had the chance. Tynna banished him away for 1 minute, while Rial used his illusion magics to take on the appearance of Creefus himself. Thoricus broke through those chains that would bind him, and when the real captain returned, he was polymorphed into a sea cucumber, put in a glass, and thrown down the throat of the Kraken. The spectral servants of the ship continued to serve the image of Creefus held by Rial. It was then that the ivory towers of the fallen city of Elmyyra, Brenna's once great homeland, came into sight, now loomed over by the shadow dragon Exonius, who now holds control over an army of shadows who flow through the streets like a cool wind. I was going to say breeze, but I couldn't say cool breeze because that's Divit's sword. All right, guys. We jump back in. You know, the four of you, save Bruenor, are still standing aboard the ship, the deck of the Queen Anne, you know, suspended within the throat of this great, massive, primordial beast, the Kraken itself, which currently ferries the boat inside of its mouth. You know, you're all kind of looking toward the edge of the ship where Divit recently had thrown, you know, the sea cucumber form of Crefus down the throat, aided along by the booming laughter of the Kraken, which also thought the Phil McCracken joke was pretty good. And so the laughter kind of, like a frog in your throat, kind of pushed this little bottle further within the great beast. You know, you're all standing on the deck right now, kind of, Rial, you're still in the shape of Captain Crefus. You know, you've got the scars and cuts on your chest, nipple piercings, and lots of little areas where the old living chains used to run through but are no longer there. You know, you managed to take his actual coat, his yellow jacket, you know, and put it on, which kind of helps sell the thing. So you're standing there just like Captain Crefus. The big yellow captain's hats with the plumes is sitting over on the desk, but you've got the jacket, you've got the yellow pants, you've got the yellow boots, even though it is only an illusion. You know, you look onto the ship and you see the spectral, you know, 25 above, 25 below, the spectral crew of this ship that spends most of their time invisible. You see all of them kind of accepting the ruse of you, Rial, as you kind of just instruct them back to work. They resume their duties aboard the ships, kind of wisping back into the ethereal, half into the ethereal plane, where you can't really see them, but you know they're always around. You know, you stand upon the wood, the magical wooden boards you've now seen move, you know, the living wood of the ship of the Queen Anne. You know, Bruenor, you know, this was a part of your family's legacy for a long time, this specific ship. The fact that the drowned hounds had it is somewhat strange. It sits in your mind. Bruno, you're currently sitting in the cell below in the brig. You know, you were, when the big gong was rang by Crefus during the battle, you originally were trying to get out, and then you and Brian just kind of held a defensive position inside the cage. You know, so you, right now, in your backpack, you know, you've got the little skeleton head of Dr. Gast, that, you know, the living skeleton that you just kind of like put a couple pieces of and threw him in your bag. You know, you're looking, Bruno, you also watch as the spectral workers of the ship kind of disappear and go back to their duties, leaving you in peace, you know, almost completely unresponsive to the battle that just took place, the breath weapon of Brian that was shot at them. You see, they certainly seem to harbor no ill will and just return about going to their individual duties. Back on the ship, you guys are standing in the captain's quarters, you know, kind of half on the deck, half in the quarters, Divot on the far side near the deck. You guys mostly around the captain's quarters where the battle with Crefus took place. You know, again, the inside of this, you know, it has no windows or anything as part of its ability to go underwater. And so you hadn't really yet seen inside, but inside is pretty lavish, you know, almost as lavish as you would expect any captain aboard any great vessel. You know, you see fine silks and linens, gold and you know, silver piles of, there's even just a straight up treasure chest in there overflowing with copper and silver coins. You know, a pretty massive haul. There's still some of the magical potions that you saw Crefus kind of using all around him. And, you know, as you guys are kind of looking around at like loot, yeah, you can't help but kind of catch the visage of the city of Elmyyra before you. You know, you see the tall ivory peaks fitted with the green stones that stand at the top of them, kind of the purple and blue colors, somewhat faded now as the wisps of these shadows, innumerable in number, you know, immeasurable into. I don't really know where I was going with that. It's really hard to count them. So, you know, it's there. Yeah, I was going to keep doing it, but but there's literally everywhere you look, going up every road and every street and inside every window, it seems like there's just shadows all around. You know, you guys all kind of are standing there looking up, and you see that big, giant, shadowy dragon form, almost, you know, just floating like a cloud, a harbinger of doom, just drifting over the top of the high royal pillar of the city itself. And, you know, that feeling, that pit in your stomach, Divot, you feel that heartbeat inside your chest, that acorn calling from within this giant creature. We know Xonius is one of Sithesis's agents. You guys are hurling through the ocean. You see the invisible Kraken now transparent. You can see through him, but you all feel as he stops. and his invisible kind of skin stops in the water, he apparently does not seem too content to rush into the city and bear being discovered perhaps by the shadow dragon. You guys kind of, you see the swirling maelstrom of shadows in the water before you. The water around you finally goes still and calm after hurling through it like a bullet. You guys finally come to rest. The four of you are standing there. You've never seen a city quite as splendid as this, and yet somehow so tainted with darkness as you look upon what would be maybe the most majestic city you've ever seen architecturally. All fitted within the deep parts of the ocean where none of you have ever gone. You don't have that same fear Bruenor had allowed it, where you all can breathe underwater. Again, moving underwater is a little trickier. You guys don't have swim speed, so this isn't exactly your favored domain, except for Bruenor, who's a fish by nature. So you guys are kind of standing there. You see the looming shadow dragon hurling over the city. The Kraken comes to a halt. You all know Bruenor's still below and has not yet, had to lay eyes on this other than what she saw in the scrying pools. But you're kind of standing there. Rial, you have 1 hour in this disguise of Captain Crefus. What do you guys do?
Shall we reclaim our most valuable guest? Welcome her home. Of course. That's what we have to do. And I'd like to venture down into the brig and use the Mage Hand Legerdemain to pick the lock to her cell, open it up. We'll see if that works, and then what happens next.
All right, yeah. So give me. The ship of the crew of the ship, they haven't really interacted with you. They haven't, they just seem to, they're kind of mindless undead. And so it was more of like and they looked at you and they're like, all right, that's him. And they went back to work. You weren't telling them to kill anybody. And so they just kind of went about their business. To get to Bruenor, however, there's a bit of a performance involved in this, Rial. So go ahead and give me. Let's just see. Can you convince? You've never really moved like Crefus. You've seen him in battle and stuff, but you don't know as much about him as you might like to if you're having to be somebody. But yeah, go ahead and give me. You could choose if you're trying to deceive him, you could run a deception. If you're trying to persuade them to buy your game, I'm allowing you to kind of pick which charisma-based skill you want to use, as long as there's justification for it.
Well, they're all bad, so it really is like, in real life, if you just like walk in with a purpose, just have a purpose. But
yeah, just walk like you have some purpose.
Exactly,
like a goddamn sexy fisherman, gorgeous fisherman.
Let's try persuasion, because he is a very charming, persuasive fellow.
Right.
So I feel like having that 13.
You're right. All right, so aided by the costume, like I said, you are actually wearing, like, not only that, but the jacket of Crefus, so I'm going to give you advantage on that. You get a 20. Just from what you've seen, you are the most perceptive of the group, Rial. You have now seen Crefus in his time in the city of Elmyyra and in your battle with him aboard the ship of the Queen Anne. And so, using that information, you kind of piece it together. You kind of, like you said, you walk more with purpose than anything else. Like the best show is just doing it natural. And so you walk right up. None of the spirits pay any attention to you as you go on. Again, as you enter the below decks, they kind of whisper. They're almost hard to see at all. It's so very dark down there. No real big light sources underneath, except for some like phosphorescent algae that they've scooped up, which is from the Underdark actually. And so there's like some glowing light sourced from a little fungi, but that's it. It's a real dank, dark, the whole area smells of this really soaking wet wood. And, again, no creature comforts, maybe one hammock on the far front of the ship. But other than that, just the cloaks of moody black hanging around, piles of refuse, wanted posters slapped all over the place, but very little in the way of like accommodating for guests other than the bedrolls in the brig itself. So yeah, you kind of step down, you see none of the specters seem to pay attention to you. You hold your hand out, your invisible mage hand just picks the lock. And Bruenor, the gate opens before you, and there stands Captain Crefus.
What the fuck do you? What? Go ahead.
Please.
Thank you. What the fuck do you want?
I want to let you know. And then I'll reach forward and give her the Elven Kiss on the forehead. That you're...
Yeah. Fuck, holy shit, oh my god! what did you do to Rial?
Don't you worry about Rial. We're at Elmyyra now. So what would you suggest we do? Shall we regale with the rest of the five?
Bruenor takes a look at Brian to just kind of match his gaze and see, like, holy fuck, we're here. Have a moment like that, like, whoop.
Yeah. You see a crestfallen look on his face a little bit. You know that it's like he was there when you were in the scrying pools. You both know kind of what to expect, but again, it's like you haven't laid eyes on the city you're from. Both you and Brian. And so even though normally he would be a little hostile, if not growling a bit at Crefus, you see he seems to be, again, that new intelligence that he has as part of his Dracodile transformation. He is seemingly aware of kind of the heaviness of this moment as well.
Well, fine. Like, trying to keep up the performance. Fine, I'll take you into town. Bruenor made like Tynna Belcher style, like just like starts walking.
I'm gonna grab some of these cloaks of Moody Black. I want to grab one for everybody except for maybe Crefus and Bruenor.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, it's, again, not to be too on the nose, but it's very much like The Simpsons where, like, Bart just has a closet full of the same outfit. It's like Moody, being a bunch of crows, really only has, like, one look, And, I mean, it's a smoke show look. I mean, she nails it.
Yeah,
but,
so I want to grab one for Thoricus, Thoricus, Tynna, Joco, myself, and Brian. And I know it probably won't fit him, but I'm going to give it to him.
Okay, Divit, make me a perception check.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any barrels around. Someone wants to be cute.
Yeah, 29 different cloaks and then 29 barrels just laying up against the side. All right.
Rolled an 18.
18. All right, so Divit, you're kind of like, you're like picking up these cloaks and looking at them, and true to form, they are completely identical. They're made of a real thick, tarp, almost a canvas. They're real heavy. But again, you sense there's a little bit of magic residue on them. Not like the cloaks themselves are magical, but that Moody is so magical that just being in contact with them has left a little goo, a little magic on account of the magic goo inside these cloaks. And as you're kind of looking at them, you're like really paying attention, and you just hear this like a caw of one of Moody's crows. You look around, you're kind of like looking through the ship. You can't help but kind of look at the cloaks in front of you, like maybe one of them's about to come to life, but you don't see anything.
Underwater crows.
Okay, that freaks me out a little bit. And it happens when I grab the first one. I was going to grab one for everybody.
Yeah.
And instead, I just kind of want to, like, bundle that one up and take it with me.
All right. Yeah, you're like, screw this. All right. Yeah. Again, Divot, and it's like, you're in the ship. You have the vest of eyes. Your perception is extremely good, and the fact that you still couldn't see her is like, that's kind of what helps, give you those EBs in your stomach. It's like perhaps there's, like everything else, foul magic's at play.
While I'm with everybody and walking, I kind of want to, because I don't know what happened to Crefus. All I know is that Crefus wouldn't know the Elmyyra forehead kiss thing. So, but I do. So you guys, trying to kind of speak out of the side of my mouth. If what's going on is I think what is going on, you guys are gonna have to don some badass stuff to look like a drowned hound. Like piercings, tattoos. You're gonna have to do something cool with your hair.
What am I supposed to do with this?
Oh, Thoricus, you look fine. Thoricus, you look pretty scary.
I have white Power Ranger armor, a double-sided axe, a mohawk. I'll pierce my nipples though.
I love it. It's gonna be perfect. That's right. Perfect.
All right, anybody got a nipple piercing gun? I'm doing this the old-fashioned way. Divot? Oh, yeah.
Here, I have a potato. Put it behind.
What color?
Some fish hooks through.
No, I like this idea. So yeah, Bruenor, you're kind of standing there looking around. This isn't any surprise to you whatsoever. You know what I mean? Like, the Hounds are talked about as if they're not even human. And in fact, like, Creefus is the only one that even really flirts that line where it's like he is at least a human. It's like, Kuhn, the living barrel, the living skeleton, Dr. Gas, and it's like some of these, all these different peeps that they wouldn't have, normal quarters. But the things that are around, if you guys wanted to whip up some costumes, you certainly could. And I am excited to hear how, what those might look like.
Yeah, I'm really small, so I don't go for any of the cloaks or anything. I want to see if there are any odd-looking barrels around that I can maybe like smash up the wood a little bit and then use Shantia's light to like make some like poison ivy grow all out of it, make it turn into like a little outfit too. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Yes. Now this again, it's like these will play when these will come into question. Most of these will be deception checks because it's whether or not the costumes. And for now, don't worry about it. Just kind of tell me what you're doing. In this case, Tynna, yes, you're looking around. All of you are pretty suspicious of barrels now. Ever since that one on the beach that whatever, may have come to life and tried to kill Brenna. So you're looking around, and there is, yes, over here, like I said, on the front side of the ship, there is one hammock hung. And below it, there's a bunch of like coils of rope and, a backup anchor, and then a couple barrels, all of varying, one of them, the band, the two bands that hold them together. One of them is totally broken. And you're actually kind of looking at that one. You're like, that one, because the bottom band is loose, it gives it a little flexibility at the bottom that the other one wouldn't have, and so it kind of works, not like let's just say a skirt, but in that idea, like you could kind of let the top part sit up here and then fit your bottom underneath. You're kind of looking at it, Tynna. You know what? Let's just do it now because I think it's funnier now if we all know. Roll me a deception check.
Wait, before
yes.
I want to take that hammock actually, and I want to put it over myself, see if I can't like slice like a head hole through it, and then like use the rope to like cinch in the waist, and then like have the barrel skirt still.
Everybody's gonna be like, damn, these barrels be looking good. Like drowned hounds are so fine. What is up with that?
Yeah, I gotta look as sexy as possible,
Right.
I've seen the reputation.
The bar is very high with the group, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And like the thing with the drowned hounds is like Brandon said, there's like hundreds of them, so anything will work. Anything. If you just throw a sheet over your head and cut holes in your eyes, like, oh, there must be a ghost. There must be a sheet ghost drowned hound.
Cheers, I got a ghost.
It's part of my prize crew, Hammock Tatum. It's fine. She's wonderful. Look at how lovely she is and comfortable.
So cozy.
So cozy.
Yeah, Tynna, you'll get to make your deception with advantage. I like the attention to the I mean, let's what's it? Not last runway. Damn it. All right, give me a deception check.
Okay.
That's there. You got me. Whoa! Ooh, first crit hit of the night.
Yikes.
For those new to the show, we take hits on 20s and 1s around here. This is a crit hit. The other one is a shit crit. That's the bad one. Even though it's all good when you're smoking weed. All right, Tynna, at one time, you were a trickery cleric. Only now are you a cleric of life, learning to walk the pious path. But girl, on your journeys through the many roads that led you to the path of joining the We3 and eventually the Ferocious Five, you've had to play dress up a few times to get out of some jams, and it's like, this is no different. You almost as if, it's like when you watch a clothing designer walk into like a thrift store and they're just able to like take three things that wouldn't work together and then turn it into this like incredible creation. Tynna, you kind of look like a golem, the way it all kind of works. You've been like a golem with netting around you and stuff. You've accentuated your female form kind of throughout the thing. And so yes, you would, you're like trying to think like, if I was a sea monster bounty hunter, and it's like you've created this entire character. Your entire design worked as planned, and you kind of even scare your allies as they first look at you like, oh, did we miss one? Oh wait, no, that's Oh, sneaky Tynna.
Hey, yeah, and like as I'm piecing everything together, I do get those like not flashbacks, but those like, oh, I've had to pull costumes together like this before, but this time it feels imbued with this like holy energy, and it's like it accentuates the feminine because it reminds me of Shantia's giving and light and the love of the earth, and so it just all comes together, and yeah.
And in a nice little moment too, Tynna, you can't help but remember who it was that taught you to sew and to create costumes. It was your mother, and so, it's funny how the arc of like what your mother was, the protector, the light giver, the trainer of skills, the green lady, in effect, has filled that missing void in your life from when you lost your mother, And so, again, it's like almost that connection, the through line between where you were and who you are today. And it's like, as you feel the needle go through and you're kind of like setting the last of the great ropes upon your head, you can't help but be reminded of the power of your mother and feel invigorated with the strength that she passed down to you. Again, you use her name. The Smoothhands name comes from your mother, which is the slight to your father, Shren Oldbuck. And so, in that moment, as you're kind of, finalizing this thing, you just are reminded of that little moment of kinship with your mother. And maybe a new sense of understanding comes upon you in some of the lessons she was trying to pass on to you in those young moments in your life.
Yeah, her name is my protection and her wisdom is my strength, and I just feel that as I finish the disguise.
You feel that, again, Tynna, as you promote through the levels in this game, your connection to your deity, the god that you serve, the source of your power, grows stronger. And you can feel, as you have that thought of that connection, you feel Shantia's gaze fall upon you, and you feel that warmth and that light within yourself as once again you're plunging into the darkness, time and time again. And she fills you with that light. So you feel, and again, like I said, we kind of jumped over a long rest mechanic, but it's these story arc moments for me where it's like you are now reinvigorated to the purpose of what you're going to, and so Tynna, that is this moment for you. Divit, you with the acorn. Bruenor, you with your kingdom. Rial and Thoricus will get to yours.
And as I also think about the light and love, particularly from my mother and the Green Lady, I recognize that it's my duty to carry on that same light and love and protect this group I'm traveling with.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, even your half brother, who the strangeness of the two of your story. First, not even knowing that he was your brother, and then learning he was, building a relationship only for him to change pretty drastically. All of you have rings on your hands. Never forget that. Always have an eye fixed upon Divit. Tynna, never forget that whenever you look upon Divit, you see that one amethyst eye still staring at you from your fallen love, who is always fixed on you, even in this moment now. All right, guys, that's Tynna's costume is banging. So she set the bar. Like even Captain Kreefus looks bad by comparison. You're like, I look exactly like him. I'm actually the guy. And they're like, yeah, but I mean, check out the barrel chick. That barrel arm.
That barreled up.
But yeah, so Divit, what are you doing? You've got, like I said, you kind of stick out, obviously.
I look in the mirror and I see my face. And I see my scrimshawed bone arms, and I'm like, I think this is actually pretty good.
You're like, done. Yeah. Yeah, no, Divit, you kind of look like a sea creature. You're right.
So my spiel is gonna be, I am Divit and was a member of the Five, but am now a drowned hound or whatever.
Awesome. All right, Thoricus, what about you? You're kind of you look over, you see Divit admiring himself in a nearby silver mirror. You're like, why is that even here? You can't imagine that. Like Moody is like, let me get this crow just right there.
Right.
And this one feather just sticks up, and
oh man.
But no, yeah, you see Divit admiring his somewhat ghastly appearance, with pride, as it's like, oh, this actually works out in this one circumstance.
Yeah.
And he looks dope, the red mask of death fitted on his face. You see a seriousness in Divit, he can't help but hide as he's coming toward a rather large precipice. The beating heartbeat within him, if you paid really close attention, is almost shaking the saggy skin on what remains on his body. There's that pounding acorn of power that Exonius, one of the many aspects and one of the main aspects of Sithis himself. We kind of shift over to you, Rial, as you're standing there. You can't help but catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror as Divit is kind of looking at himself. And here you are, a stranger in a body you're familiar with, a feeling you're familiar with, discovering you were a stranger even in your own body. And as you see Divit, he's fighting this instinct at all times to slay you, and what that means and how hard. You even notice small beads of sweat dripping down his forehead as the instinct to fight against is stronger and stronger and stronger. And you yourself, Rial, realize that as one of these aspects of Sithis yourself, you are about to come and look through a mirror of your own. And so you have this moment as you're kind of looking at the mirror. You see your hands, you see Tynna changing, you see Divit looking at himself, Thoricus kind of peering around the room to figure out what he's going to do. And Bruenor, again, a lot of your more light-hearted teammates are very heavy in this moment. You see Bruenor and even Brian, having a mournful expression on their face. Divit accepting the reality of what's to come. And you feel that pit of destiny within your own stomach, Rial. What do you do?
Well, I know all too well what body is our own. At least I have the opportunity to claim what I'd like. I know what's ahead. I know the dreaded waters that we're delving into, and I need to make sure that my best friend is well disguised. So I'd like to wrap an arm around Thoricus, walk over to Joco the Hatchet. Joco, thank you for everything you've done for us, but could we perhaps borrow your face piece?
You see, Togo's still kind of sitting there. He's been through a lot. He died and was brought back to life and literally vomited out the chains that had been forced through his chest. So you see he is kind of weary as he sits there. It definitely took a lot out of him. He looks up at you, his big bugbear body. You see the orange hairs kind of sticking out of the bottom. You haven't really seen him take this mask off. And, he looks at you and, his big giant arms kind of loom. He looks over at Thoricus. To protect the Stone Reaver, surely. And he undoes, the little leather mask that's fitted to his face, and he pulls it away. And for a second, you're like, oh. And you notice that all of the skin underneath and the hair is severely burned. It's like he survived, being from the look of it, literally stuck in a fire. And so you see his mangled face, his nose is a little malformed, and he pulls the mask off. Some of the diseased skin kind of peels away with the mask as he pulls it off. You see he notices it and brushes it off in respect for Thoricus. But he kind of stands there. You see he puts his head down. One of the first times that you've experienced a sense of shame from him. And you see he feels very naked in front of you right now as he hands you the mask that covers his face. Here, for the Stone Reaver.
For the Stone Reavers. And I want to put a hand on his face. I mean, man, that takes a lot to open up like that, and especially from him, a warrior from birth. I don't know what happened to him, but just want to make him feel loved. Bugbear, we appreciate your sacrifice. And please, while we're out, would you mind manning the ship?
He looks around, I fear no ghost. I fear no man. I shall see to it this ship still stands. You see, he kind of looks up at you, Thoricus, and he's like, he makes a gesture to you. So it's kind of like this is an old trick in Kulmara. Okay, it was part of the Stone Reaver Code. It was like on the 23rd page, it told you to go to page 4. On the 4th page, it told you to go to page 79. But eventually, if you actually did your reading and didn't just look at the pictures and didn't, put off your studies, there was a secret gesture that the Stone Reavers would do. And your generals were notorious for asking for the symbol, and if you couldn't get it, you were kicked down to a lower rank. And so it was like proof of early dedication to the Stone Reaver Code. And you see, he looks at you and he takes his hand up, and then he goes to like cut a slice across the throat, but he does it wide palmed as if the broadside of an axe, and he draws it across his throat to you.
Oh, that. Yeah. Sorry. It's been a while.
You're like, oh yeah, Stone Reavers.
Oh, right. Sorry, I've been so busy doing other cool shit with my friends.
It's true. It's been nonstop too, Thoricus. You haven't had a lot of time to sit and think about the old days.
Joco is a goddamn poet.
Yeah. No, buddy, it's all good. Like, thank you for the mask. I gotta hide all, the money maker. Does anyone have a wet wipe before, just so I can swipe this out real quick?
No offense, but
no offense. And I thank you for being so comfortable with me to show me that in front of my friends for the first time. You're so brave. Now I know you can face anything, and you have Lucille.
Oh, did you have to say face?
No.
God,
I didn't.
I get it. That's bad.
I did, but I didn't have to. If we're being like 100% honest with each other.
It's on me. I'm sensitive about it. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you again for the mask, though.
It's my honor.
I'm so proud of you. Like, you actually read through the whole book.
Dude, I'm proud of you. Like, really. You're such a good general, man.
Come on.
I almost just died, and if I didn't get to tell you, seriously, bro,
Right,
you
you're
are
welcome.
so cool. I can't even believe we're talking right now. This is wild.
Like, that's how much I love you. I brought you back from the dead with my friends, so just know you are loved. So just watch
Same.
your ship. I think we have some ointment. There might be some Neosporin in the captain's quarters. Just maybe touch that up a little bit. Don't pick at it, and we'll be back as soon as we can. We'll see. I just love you, bro.
Have you ever worn a mask for a really long time? And then it's
don't pick at it.
So you're right. His bugbear arms, it's just so easy to get to all the spots. Oh gosh, I haven't felt air ever. All right, yeah. So you see Toko, he picks up Lucille, the original Lucille that you had granted him, that he used to replace his trademark hatchet. And you see, he still has that hatchet at all times with him. He kind of pulls out both. You see him wielding the two axes, and he says, "As long as there is air in my lungs, the ship will be protected." And he does it one more time, and then goes and tends to his duties.
Before we get too far, before we come out to the top of the ship, is there any grease or something black that I could cover Brian in? Because they may not recognize him. So he may be able to go in as one of the drowned hounds, because we did talk about how they might have a crocodile. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
That's
wondering
true.
if I could just color him black and maybe just put an eye patch on him and call it a day.
I mean, the eye patch at least.
Just make him jet black so he looks like a different creature, and then just be like, eye patch, done.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. So, give me this is going to be a percentage. I'm going to say there's a 30% chance that there is oil or something really good for this. You might have to come up with some creative thinking if not. But yeah, I would say roll a 1d100. You can choose high or low, 70 or above, or 30 or below, whichever one you would rather target.
All right. I'll go low because of my life. So 1d100.
You damn low life? Yeah, 1d100. Oh, it didn't work out. Wasn't going to work if you went high either, so, you know, it's fine. All that does, Bruenor, the difference is you could still do this plan. It just won't give him advantage on the deception check. You know, if you had found like the perfect oil that would stick to him, you know, you are able to, amongst what's around there, you know, just kind of fasten some kind of like black goo that you can kind of lather on him. It's just not quite as water resistant as oil or something, you know. So he would get you when you do your deception check with him. It just won't be with advantage. Okay,
but he does have a sick eye patch on though.
The eye patch, even if you rolled the 1, he was going to have it because I want it in my core. I'm thinking of every picture of Brian and just putting an eye patch on him now. So it's fantastic. There's one around
as
here.
We are coming up from below deck. I want to put a hand on Toko's shoulder and say, hey man, thank you for, you know, bearing your face and your soul with us. Also, don't fret with how you look. Remember, there's literally a cloak full of crows that people want to fuck, so everybody's somebody's flavor, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
He looks over at you, you know, you see his kind of mangled face, and he's like, those crows were kind of hot. That I can't, you're right, there's yum, everyone's yuck.
I'm gonna Josh.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Hit him with a Josh. Bruenor, you know, again, it's hard. You know, you're trying to pierce through the heaviness. But you do, you know, you're trying to make him feel good and not so exposed in this moment. Here's in response. So you're trying to kind of break the mood, and you mention his face, and he kind of looks down. And he looks over at you, trying to like connect with him and have a nice moment with him, and he goes, do you know what happened to my face?
Oh,
I have a feeling that I'm about to find out, my brother.
I can spare you the tale if you'd rather not hear it.
Hell no, I want to hear all about you, Toko. You died for us.
I was the youngest of 6 brothers. I am the only one who still lives. My father would put us through challenges. Speed, strength, agility, cunning, hunting, trapping, you name it. Those of us that failed would be put to the fire. I failed. My brother rushed to save me as my skin melted against the flame my father's hand at the back of my head. He rushed my father and killed him with a hatchet. He took that hatchet to my face to douse the flames. And I took that hatchet to him for killing my father. I wear these scars as proof of my guilt, but I hide them from the world for fear they think I am like those wild bugbears in the mountains. I trust you, Bruenor. Your strength in this moment lends me mightily. And thank you for hearing this sad tale. It has been far too long since I shared it.
Thank you for sharing it. Toko, I know what it's like to have a fucked up dad. And the circumstances under which he died, he kind of set up himself. So you don't have to feel guilty. Sometimes shit just happens and consequences happen. And you're here now and you're with us. And that's all that matters. You just need to meet yourself where you're at, brother.
I am here. I am with you all.
You see, he puts his axe up, kind of nods to you, Bruenor, and takes your words of wisdom to ponder on as he goes back up to the top deck.
We really have a say on our own creation. I admire your perseverance and your character. Thank you, and I'm glad to know you. Please, help yourself to my personal savings account. If we're still by the cabin, like with the booty and such. It won't heal those wounds, but you've made it this far. And I'm glad you're still with us.
I'm glad to be here.
He walks up and he actually likes that idea, Rial. He's like, oh, maybe I'll go take a scoop through the coin box. He's just like, just feeling the coins run through his fingers. A life probably at one point that he never thought that he would live to see. And so you see him kind of enjoying the luxuries of the captain's cabin as he prepares himself. He's kind of, you know him, Thoricus, quite well. You see him looking for the tactical points on the ship where best to prepare himself for oncoming battle or anything of that sort. So, he's getting himself ready for what's to come.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably finding a mask. Yeah. Wear a mask,
He finds a different mask. He's like,
mask.
Put this little butterfly number on. Oh, I like that.
I forgot. Guys, I want you to meet my new friend. So I swing my bag around and show them Dr. Gas.
You spin it like cigar smoke comes out of the back of your backpack, and he's like, "Oh, hello!" You see it's a simple white bone skeleton head. His little jaw just kind of moves on hinges of his jaw bones, but it's like a collection of other bones that are made up his body. It's like clearly a much older arm bone, and then like his fingers each are kind of a different length and color, and he's just puffing on this big cigar with no lungs or chest currently. But he's just this skull kind of popped out of the back of the bag. But yes, he introduces himself. The rest of the five. It is a pleasure. I am Dr. Gast. Draws on his big cigar.
Are you a medical doctor?
I was going to say, what field of medicine you in?
We have a skeleton guy.
I served as the doctor aboard the ship until I angered Grievous. Now I serve the brig and those held in the prison.
That's cool.
Do you mean this guy, Grievous?
Does he know I'm faking?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. He said specifically the five, and just looked right at you guys.
All right.
Cool.
But yeah, no, the fact that you're not covered in living chains is enough for him to just kind of be like, oh, okay. yeah, okay.
That breaks the tape.
Where'd you get that?
This guy's made of bones and he's smoking a cigar, and I'm looking at him like, all right, I like him.
Something about this guy. You see Rial on that point. He's like, where is the good captain, eh? Where does the captain gone?
Yeah, where'd you put him? Where is he if he's not you?
I look right at him and I'm like, we are the captain now.
But of course, I mean you no harm. So, where is everybody?
You see, he's looking around. It's like you guys and none of the people he knows.
So I don't know, should we go to up above? Because we're still down in the brig. Should we go up above and take a peep-see?
Yes. You see, he's like, Bruenor, I'm sure you're excited to see your homeland.
You're right, I could just vomit. Let's go.
Turn around,
Before we leave, I want to talk to my buddy the Kraken. I'm like, Phil,
What's your name?
We're gonna go deal with some family business. And don't worry, I don't care how much shit Exodius talked about you. I got your back. So I plant that seed.
All right.
Stir that pot.
Divit, do you speak, or no, that's right, whatever language. So at first you hear this sound coming, and then like your telepathy like attunes to the signal of it. It's like, he's still just totally hung up on that joke and loves it, bro.
My guy.
You do see, so you get a signal back only because you see the Kraken is like, I shall lay in wait and attack if you need me. And then you hear the, and this is kind of a moment, you guys have all kind of been waiting for. But as you guys, Bruenor, you're kind of about to stand, you're coming up, getting ready to land on the deck. You're like ready for this moment, the heaviness of this. And then you hear this sound. You're like, that's a crushing wave of, and all this water just pours through the Kraken's mouth suddenly. So, you guys have all been like inside of the creature whose mouth was closed, no water. Suddenly you're all in the ocean as the Kraken, his big, giant, mighty teeth, thousands of these sharp needle-like teeth open up out of this like hooked beak-like mouth. And suddenly the water of the ocean just kind of floods over you all for a moment. It's a little disorienting. You're just like, and then suddenly, the water tops off to the area and you're all just kind of floating there, remembering that you can breathe because of the blessing of the shield of Bruenor. Oh yeah, that's right. Divit, you're like, man, I can always breathe underwater. But yeah, so you see the Kraken opens its mouth and kind of just like ejects you a little bit. Like the ship starting to sail out a little bit. It's not moving yet or anything. You guys still get to decide what it does. That's like the moment now. He does not seem. He knows it's like if he's visible by the city, it's going to be a big thing. So he's sending you guys. Did you want to work out like a signal or anything with him, Divit?
I'll tell him when he sees when he sees some noodly lightning.
Looks like he's saying, kiss me, kiss me.
Oh god, it's so good. All right, so yeah, so you see that's the deal. So it'll be looking for some noodly lightning. I can only imagine a scenario where it's like, I mean, that's lightning. Is that? It's not noodly lightning. But no, yeah. So that's kind of the idea. He's gonna hang back. He did ship you guys to the city, and he seems to be, again, Divit. You don't really know like what the deal with this Kraken is and the ship, and like, is this like a long-term, how long, you don't really know anything. But again, you sense a friendship, a kinship. He has been kind of going along with you to this point so far.
I think I can just sense how bored he's been for so long.
And in fact, it's Divit, you're kind of attuned to those emotional frequencies. You sense a bit of a sadness within this creature. The Kraken was once the great dread of the ocean, the most terrifying creature. It plagued ships and secret harbor towns for millennia, and so, but currently in the world that exists now, the shadow dragon Exonius is the blight of the ocean. The dark shadow in the pit of the ocean is no longer the Kraken, but now
I hadn't even really heard of the Kraken. That's why he likes me. Like, I'm like, he's famous, and I'm like the guy who didn't know he was famous, and we hit it off, so he knows I keep it real.
Yeah, right. You're like, oh wait, you were in what? Oh yeah, I never saw the Pirates movies.
That's cool though. Yeah, great.
He should chill with Death, and like they should play D&D or something too. Ooh.
Yeah, I guess I could introduce him to Death.
Yeah.
Now it's getting weird to it because it's like you're trying not to play on a celebrity, but you're like, let me introduce you to my other famous friend. It's like a backdoor brag, bro.
Oh, you're famous? I know kind of someone that's a little famous.
Oh, you're famous? We should meet my other famous friend.
The Kraken does want to meet Kanye.
Yo, Divit's got it in with Kanye, bro. Even the DM is like, yo, Divit, hook me up. All right. So yeah, you guys, here we stand. The water rush fades away, and that calm tranquility that goes with being in water kind of washes over you all. You're all sitting there in this little moment before we kind of focus in, Bruenor, as you kind of come out to the deck and float in the waters around Elmyyra. But there you all kind of float. You know, Tynna connecting to your mother and the Green Lady in this moment, Divit, the acorn within, and the purpose that calls you to the end of the life of this body. Rial, you know, being this close to seeing literally the outline of the shadow of one of the other aspects. Like, are you it? Is it you? Like, what part of that calculation goes together? Thoricus standing there, the line of the Stone Reavers, you know, that little simple gesture from Toko shows you that it's like, not only have you taken the Stone Reavers and instilled the values in a great warrior people, but those that will continue to pass it on given the opportunity are taking it seriously. Although Kulmara no longer a Kulmaran Stone Reaver, you are a Stone Reaver of your own right and have continued the teachings of Beckus Grumblehelm, as you know, even though being blamed for his murder, cast out of your homeland, you know, up to this point now, having seen him a few times, you know, you can't help but think that, you know, you've done right by his memory, as opposed to your, you know, rival Vegeta Shalefish, who led the charge getting you thrown out, you know, constantly the number 2 to your number 1.
Speaking of Shalefish, we saw Shalefish and my sister together the last time. So, and I don't know who all is in town or anything. So I give Thoricus kind of a look like, are you ready to get down, brother?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
His bass tones kind of send little ripples through the water that tickle your skin.
Ooh. You see this sweet mask I got? No one's gonna fucking recognize me here.
That's fucking true. I almost didn't recognize you. I looked over to be like, are you ready, brother? And I was like, whoa!
I thought I was like your other brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, you guys are all my brother.
We are brother.
You are all brother.
We are brother. All right, yes, you, okay. So floating in this moment, Bruenor, you know, as you kind of like settle on this connection with Thoricus, and you guys have this nice moment of, you know, unity between the 5, and you see it, Bruenor, as real as from the searing stones, but more so feeling the actual waters. You know, the temperatures this deep are much colder, and you like the way it feels as it runs through your gills, and just being here, you're home. You know, granted, your home has gone through hell since you've been gone, but it is the closest you've been to your kingdom since you fled, watching this great looming shadow of the dragon climb over the horizon. As you disappear, you're now, you know, almost back where you shared that image. Here you are once more, you know, this many years later, staring back once more at this looming image as it floats. You know, you see, like I said, it's a very big giant, you know, it was an expansive city. At once time had these great tremendous walls that were built all around it, and they have all been destroyed and not rebuilt. You know, it seems as if his concern has not really been on defense or safety. There's a bit of a braggadocious quality to this. There's that he hasn't rebuilt the walls or set up the scout camps. It might even be the reason right now there's no response coming to see who this boat is that's coming up. You know, Bruenor, you look upon there's a big spinning black whirlpool in the central area of the city. Behind it, the great palace of Elmyyra, you know, with its like lavish purple glass and gemstone stained glass windows, you know, the big elaborate purpley blue rooftops with the green spires, ivory and gold leafing used, you know, at great expense, all a cast back to the great, you know, Eladrin architecture of yore, but absolutely beautiful, and no expense was spared. You know, Bruenor, at the same time, some of the realities that sent you away kind of loom heavy in your mind. You know, kind of the nature of your relationship with your family at that time and all those things that are coming back. But there you all stand aboard the ship of the Queen Anne, floating out of the mouth of the Kraken, and you see the great shadow dragon looming over the city before you. What do you do?
So, I think that we should, if we're gonna do this ruse, I believe that it would be tubular if we just took the boat and I could direct you to park it. Like, we could park it where it normally gets parked, and we can make our way through the city. As much as I'd love to be like, let me show you my hometown, there's really not much of it left, but I think I could get us through safely to the castle.
As you command, Prince. As you command. I'm sorry if this homecoming is hard for you.
It's just weird, you know? Yeah, I'm sure if we were all going back to everyone else's hometown, it would be just as weird. Cool.
We got your back, Bruenor.
Thanks, Tynna. Thanks, guys. You really are two boys, you know?
Cha.
Yeah.
All right.
Cha.
I'll cuff up.
Oh, yeah, Cha, you're right.
Can we just link Bruenor to one of Creepus's chains? You know?
Oh.
Like, as like part, so that we look like a prison detail delivering somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. There, you have the shackles the little manacle shackles that were put on you. You unlocked them. You can always relock them again. You have the key. There, you do bring up a great point. There is like 4 sections of this living chain that Thoricus just like decimated. It was just kind of laying on the ground all around. It completely unmoving. You guys are free to do with it what you will.
Just Hannibal Lecter me into the... I'm a dolly. No, I'll allow it. Yeah, you can chain me up, bruh.
I'm good with metalworking. I could probably put that chain back together. I mean, I beat it to death with my fists. I could probably, link it back up together and make it into something.
It's not gonna like come back to life if you do that, though, right? Because
that's a great idea.
That's a commit. No! No!
It's very Christmas again, chains.
No, go on.
You don't want that.
Give it a weapon too.
No.
Sorry.
Just don't get attached. Don't give it a name, please.
It's all over when you give it a name.
Yeah.
But I love to name things. They're so cute. Anyway. Yeah, chain me up, and then I can get all chained, and like maybe like each of you guys is like holding one of the chains, like walking with it, like you said.
Like you're a super badass. Like it takes all of us holding.
Like there's a ring and a collar in the middle, and then the 4 chains go, and it's like the 4 of us all holding one chain. She's like in the middle.
Okay, that's so dope. Heck yeah, that's what you're doing. All right. So, Bruenor, again, you're immensely familiar with the streets and alleyways, even though it has been some time since you've been here. Where like the dock, if you were going to the palace, again, there is kind of a knowledge gap here. You don't really, although Rial, you look like Creepus, you don't really know what the deal was or who you're reporting to. The Kraken certainly didn't seem to offer any information to you. And so there is a little bit of like if you were going, say, to the palace, again, if your sister was the one calling you, the palace, where the giant shadow dragon cloud looms over it, might be probably a pretty good place to go. The nearby dock where the royal welcomes, diplomats from all around the neighboring ocean cities would come. Bruenor, very few of them returned. But as the kind of strength of your kingdom grew and grew, and the like aura of your exploits kind of permeated the ocean, and you became the force that the family of the Serpents became, you're looking upon that's where these people would have come. That's where we probably would land, flying or coming through on a ship that bears roots in the same city as well. This is a vessel of your bloodline.
Yeah. If you guys see any sort of like news or like things posted anywhere, or any sort of like maybe people don't like my family as much even in my own kingdom, maybe just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because that's an old self.
It's fine. I forgot my raiders back on the ship, so.
My raiders.
What does this say? I can't. Something, the Theseaserpent.
I can't make it out.
I don't know, guys. I'm sure it's fine.
I'll read it on the way down.
With stigmatism.
No, you as you kind of, again, Bruenor, some of these thoughts long held within. As you kind of look around, you can't help but see I just want to double check before. Is any other preparations you guys want to make before you're kind of like, it's like that point in the video game where it's like, you're about to enter the dungeon of Elmyyra. Are you sure? Like, you'll have to start over if you save past this point. It's any other preparations you guys want to make before heading in?
Yeah, do we have to pull, what am I thinking of? The word I can't, I'm so high. Do we have to you stock up on potions and Phoenix Downs? Like, what the fuck?
Didn't Grievous have, like, some bank in his captain's quarters?
Yes. All right.
So we got that long rest so we can reset all of our shit.
All abilities, spell slots, and everything. Like I said, again, this is a stepping outside. I understand a long rest is 8 hours. Don't worry. But again, we're at this point. It's this connection to destiny moment. It's all of you are kind of coming home to a big moment in your respective stories, and through, for one, a very long travel through the ocean. And so it's like time passed in that time, and you have all, like I said, we're full resting you guys, and you're gonna need it. So
I reach into my chest cavity and evenly dole out the potions that were hidden in it.
All right, yes. So what I'm gonna do, because we are getting pretty close to intermission, probably, I'm just gonna make a note to do a horde roll. And then the results of that will be in the roll results still when we come back. So we'll do a horde roll for coin itself, but there are 3 more of those crazy superior healing potions. That was the one that that Creefus poured on him. It's 8d4 plus 8 hit points when you drink them. They're very good. And again, Tynna, just because, I've played quite a few clerics in my day as well. Beacon of Hope, if it starts to get where like people are getting to potion time, Beacon of Hope gets so good because it's max healing from potions.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you don't have to worry about rolling 8 1s like I would do if it was something. It'd be like, 16 healing from this 3,000 gold piece healing potion or whatever. But no, yeah. So there's 3 of those superior healing potions. Again, there's some other kind of like trinkets and oddities and baubles and things. We can kind of catalog those, I think, at a later time, unless you want to go through it now. But again, it's like. Going through and counting how much coin you have and stuff like that would take time, and it seems maybe not the time for that right now.
Put it on the sack, yeah.
I want to throw a bardic inspiration to Bruenor also.
Nice.
Before we head off.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could leave the Krampus sack with Joco, and then while he's here, he could like just do inventory and then scoop all that shit in the sack. I mean, he can do that, right?
What if we need it? What if we need it while we're out, though?
That's
Just Krampus sack?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right.
That's the only thing I'm worried about. Like as far as I know, I went into the brig and you guys killed the captain. I didn't expect that to happen. What if some other shit happens?
To be fair, I killed the chains.
Oh hell yeah, that's good.
We pickled him, basically.
But I did not kill the creepers. All right, so that's a good point. In fact, that is the mechanic by which we will facilitate that, the loot side of Creefus's cabin. Joco, as long as he's not like in combat all the time for some reason, which again right now there's no indication of, he will also go about like letting you guys like go through the things. Like he's gonna be there by himself anyway, so we're just like, oh, what's this? Oh, that's cool. And so yeah, we will do like that collective treasure. It's still inside the ship. As it would be, so we can handle that when we're there, or a little later, I would say. But I like that. It's bardic inspiration for you, Thoricus. Again, that's a D6 that you can add. What are the conditions on that, Divit?
To Bruenor.
I was gonna say that.
Bruenor. I'm sorry.
I think it's for Bruenor.
Yeah, they just get a D6, and it can apply to an ability check, an attack roll, or a saving throw.
Boom. So yes, Bruenor, again, this stemming from the pink, wispy, the bardic energies of Divit, not necessarily the more purpley and cold death magic that he's adapted to, but that bardic inspiration from within. You feel as Divit grants you this boon before this.
Yeah, I'm humming a sea shanty while we're walking to the castle.
Nice.
Whatever.
Is it Jimmy Crack Corn?
I don't know.
You haven't heard about Sir Jimmy the Corn Cracker? He lives under
Jimmy
a
the
relay.
corny seaman?
All right, guys. So any other just like preparations or anything, just from abilities, anything before you're kind of coasting in and landing?
I mean, just keep an eye out for shit, guys. Keep in contact, let each other know what you see and feel, and see something, say something. But yeah, let's try and pull this ruse off.
How's my time looking?
All right, so we're gonna call it 45 minutes. All of what just transpired, the conversation. You were all doing this stuff kind of at the same time anyway, building your costumes and such. So 15 minutes of preparation. You all kind of quickly go about doing those things we all just went through. The Kraken opened its mouth. Again, it didn't like spit you out and run away. It's still hanging out there. Again, Divit, you and he kind of worked out a signal to come into a fray where it needed. You guys, you're kind of going through the water. Again, Bruenor, you remember as a child the sea stuff that would rain from the sky, just the various bits of the lives that live above the great ocean cities, and how in this dark and terrible time, the waters around the city are no longer this emerald greeny blue, almost like the color of your skin, but they sit this dark, earthier, deep blue, as the shadow has kind of permeated and infected even the ground and the water around. As you get closer and closer to the city, the water gets thicker, harder to breathe, like trying to suck a milkshake through a straw. The negativity and the shadow have all permeated every atom of this location. Even the walls themselves have thick veins of shadow that run through the elaborate elven artwork, and just kind of harshly juxtapose this pristine, beautiful, once great nation, and now the shadowy wisps that seem to call it home. Again, the looming shadow of the dragon in real form is basically like a cloud. It's not, you don't see as you have Brian the Dracodile nearby, you don't see the arcing wings or the details of it. It's almost as if just to let you know that it is there, and you feel the presence of Exonius. It becomes very quiet suddenly as you guys are going through. You feel the soft flow of the water on you as you kind of magically are held aboard this ship as it courses through the ocean. The little drifts of wispy bits of ash and shadow that just kind of fall like snow from the sky above. The great looming dragon of shadow before you. And then as you kind of start flying over some of the outer portions of the city, you just take in the sheer vastness of this once great empire. This city is thousands of times bigger than you ever would have imagined. It stretches forever in all directions as the buildings get smaller and trail off and farther out. And you notice influences of various different technology types, and you can kind of watch the evolution of this city grow, and it seems like it grew so fast that it might have outpaced its own reach as you just kind of course through these hollow, empty, you expect and wait for some sort of response as the shadows stir in the waters beneath you, but so far nothing has come or stopped you as you continue toward the ocean docks, where you would greet people before going into the great palace, still, some ways off from the castle itself with its high walls and protective barriers. You're looming down in the quiet darkness of the stillest parts of the deepest bits of the ocean, and all of you can only hear one thing. The beating of the heartbeat that Divit is always privy to is now beating so hard within him that it's actually shaking the waters around him. And Divit, as you get closer and closer to this dark whirlpool of power, you look over at Rial, and it is everything that you can do not to kill him. Divit, in the city of Elmyyra, you cannot heal Rial. You cannot take an action that would heal Rial. And as you all hear the heartbeat beating within. Rial, you feel your own fingertips, even through the guise of Captain Creefus, kind of folding into your fists. You feel the anger within. Rial, while you are in Elmyyra, you cannot take any action to heal Divit. The heart continues to beat, and a soft yellow glow starts emanating out of Tynna Smoothhands, lighting your way through the darkness. And that's where we're gonna pick it up after intermission, guys. As we Star Wars sneak our way. I don't know what it is about this that just reminds me of Star Wars so much, but I freaking love it. Just like you guys are all in like weird stormtrooper outfits. Like, yeah, we're all TK421, TK4. We're fine. How are you? Awesome, guys. Holy shit. This stuff's about to get, I'm very excited. Hang with us, guys. We do a 10-minute intermission so that we can pee, roll joints, load bongs, hydrate. I got to fill up my water. I hope you've been emptying yours as well. Remember to crit, sip, and hydrate along with us, friends. 10 minutes. Check out all this original music, the incredible artwork that makes me cry like 9 times out of 10 when I watch it. Thank you so much to all the incredible artists who contribute so much to this show, and enjoy the incredible music by Sandy Stein and this slew of artwork from Vlad Kolonik, who's a monster artist, Jake Taylor, Sean Gilchrist, Giuseppe Greenberg, freaking Ben Shell. We've got Huga. There's so many. Ray Torres. Fucking just a ton of amazing artists that contribute to the show. Thank you guys so much for all of that. Please enjoy. We will be back in 10 minutes to get into this freaking shadow town in the bottom of the ocean. Shit. Welcome back, buds, to WeeDnD, the pod positive live tabletop role-playing experience. I can say it as fast as you can. Welcome back. We just got through our ride inside of a kraken to the great fallen shadow city of Elmyyra, Bruenor's homeland. And the five are prepared to attempt to get through this city in disguise, disguising themselves as members of the notorious bounty hunter crew, the Drowned Hounds. The ship, the Queen Anne, an accepted guest in the city, has so far received no resistance as they've come in, and currently there's a giant shadow dragon cloud in the sky. Man, guys, the best way to do it is to just jump back in. So let's fucking jump back in. You guys are floating, your feet kind of bound to the magical boards of the wood of this ship, this ability to move underwater, seemingly part of the living wood boards that help navigate this ship through the deep waters of the ocean. You feel, as I said, as you kind of go closer and closer to the town itself, almost like a cloud of smog. The water feels thick. Even those of you new to breathing underwater, through the aid of the water breathing spell cast by Bruenor, you all can breathe. But even you experience it's like breathing a thicker substance as you try to get whatever oxygen you can out of this water. You guys are kind of floating now, almost at street level down this great corridor that leads to the ship docks, where guests would be welcomed to the great castle gardens of Elmyyra. You start floating up toward near one of the ships. Everybody kind of on pins and needles as you look around. Bruenor, the great spire of the tall royal castle growing before you in the sky. Almost like a green arrow pointing directly up to this swirling mass of shadow that hovers above you in the sky. The ship itself kind of starts floating down near the ground levels. You guys, just for the sake of things, you guys are kind of popping up pretty close. I'm going to take you a little farther down on the map here, where this kind of swirling maelstrom of shadow is in the center of town. These are where the great gardens of Elmyyra are. You see all kinds of cultivated plant life that has now since grown kind of wild, rather than a cultivated garden of beautiful sea flowers and kelp, the kelp gardens and ribbons of this majestic sea life. The whole thing now has kind of just overgrown itself with no one tending to it. As you, kind of course through this long streetway that goes toward where the docks, where the ships are eventually fastened down, you finally, now that you're in the breath of the town, you start noticing that the wisps around you seem to have a form similar to the spectral crewmates of your ship, where from above it appeared to just be these wisps of shadow, but as you get closer and closer and farther down into the town, you start to hear the booming footsteps of an army of shadow people. Bruenor, some of your biggest fears may have come to life in the sense that it appears the entire populace of the city of Elmyyra has indeed been turned to shadow, as so the legends say of a shadow dragon's breath weapon, something all of you, have become aware of. And so, a shadow dragon's fire, if it kills you, it turns you into a shadow that then serves Exonius. So, you start seeing kind of these wisping legions of shadow knights wisping all around you. Some of them like cloaked assassins wisping around the shadowy corners and flowing in and out of the broken doors of the once great city streets. You also hear the kind of clinking boots of a more armored sort of shadow knight, perhaps like the royal guard of Elmyyra, the once great army themselves, had also been turned. You hear the clinking boots of these strange shadow figures, and as they come into fixture, I'll show you you start to see, Bruenor, you see the royal signs of the Elmyran army, but you guys see these armored shadow knights, large metal spikes that pop off their shoulder pauldrons and their fist wraps. They have like a big breastplate that sits upon a shadow body, from just above the abs down, everything is all wispy shadow, but they have like a majestic cavalier's helmet, a webbed sea fin spikes that go across the top and give them this kind of menacing approach. Again, to count them in number of just these knights alone, you see nearly 1,000. All marching through the streets, the tension in your stomach kind of tingling as you feel the water being pushed over your skin, the dark cloud of chaos whirling overhead, and as the Queen Anne settles into its dock port, Everything is still. What do you do?
When we fly over the gardens, it kind of takes me back to like the amount of dates that I would bring there, like of all genders and species that I would bring back to the gardens to kind of show off a little bit. But something that really takes me aback is seeing shadows and also like armored beings, especially with like the armor that I recognize, like walking through the streets. And it's no longer like a bustling city with like really cool nightlife and like arts and you know, trade and industry and people walking about. It's more like it's empty, it's dark, it's, you know, it's not necessarily like buildings are completely ramshackled. It's just that it's like there's certain parts that are destroyed, that's for sure, but like it's more like it's inhabited by like if this was Kingdom Hearts, they'd be heartless, right? Like so right. It's like they're just like it's just shadow. Thank you. It's just a bunch of shadows, and I that kind of really gives me a second to like adjust. But I'm technically a prisoner right now, so I can be a little bit upset, and you can clearly kind of see that on my face that I'm nervous.
Yes, you feel the shackles around your wrist, the chains wrapped around you. Even though it's a ruse, Bruenor, you can't help but feel like you are being dragged back here against your will. Like, you know what you're doing. You're very part of this, guys. But your plan was not to return this quickly. You know, some things were put into play that were outside of your control that have now led you to something you knew would happen, but not like this. So even though the shackles around your wrist are, you know, a bit of a ruse display being put on by you and the group, you do feel the shackles of your birthright, your lineage, those things that caused you to be a little nebulous near the end of your time here. The reason you were able to flee is the armies took over the city. You know, the projecting against the Shadow Dragon army as they came in. You know, these realities feel very real, shackles upon your wrist, you know. So you guys, you feel the ship stop. You feel all of you through your feet. The living board almost releases you, as if it was like hugging your foot to the ship and not allowing you to stay aboard as it moved. And it releases you almost like a soft suction cup. You're just kind of, and you're floating a little bit in the water. Now, something to remember. Really, the only person here that is unabated, of the five, that's unabated by this is Bruenor. She does have a swim seat as being a sea elf. Brian also has a swim speed. You guys don't. So your movement is half, and all of your attacks are a disadvantage. That's how water works. So again, when I say it's like you guys are a little outside of your element, it's like the conditions are, even though you can breathe, you don't have to worry about drowning. That's what's great about water breathing. Being suspended in water as this city is, at the bottom of the ocean, you will have to deal with that hindrance.
But if anyone would like to kind of, if anyone would like to sell the idea that Brian is not Brian, then someone else can ride him if you're cool with that. They could ride him to kind of help with that. If anything, maybe it would I don't know about you, you're the DM, but maybe it would just not do a disadvantage if they're riding him or something.
No, that's fair. So your movement will be unabated. Attacks, specifically weapon attacks, it is a hindrance. That's something that's melee, non-swimming classes underwater. Now, getting the water out of an area or something is something you guys could try to do. There's ways to work around that as well, or granting anybody advantage on anything that then washes. There would be no more disadvantage. They would also not have advantage, and they would just have a normal roll. So there are ways to tactically try to offset that disadvantage. A lot of spells and stuff just happens. You don't have to worry about that same problem. So again, this is just this environment is pretty tough for non-aquatic people. You feel the immense pressure of the deep ocean pushing in against you, even though the life that has managed to sustain itself here has seemed to offset that pressure from crushing your bodies, as you would at the floor of the ocean, if it shares any similarities to the oceans of the earth. And so yeah, it's immense and strange, and even though you can breathe underwater, it is an alien landscape to all save Bruenor. And Bruenor, as you guys kind of set at the dock at the northern tip of the great, once beautiful botanical gardens of the city, you kind of look back and you do, it's almost as if seeing a wispy shadow of your own self at these various points in your life, where even as a child, the royal family would come during the great festivals and bestow gifts upon the city, also which could be seen as bribes, and only specific families seem to get those gifts. But it's like you did spend a lot of time in your youth here, and as you developed into the young man who ended up eventually having to flee this town, you see those memories kind of all around you. At this point, it's the first time that anything has reacted to your presence, almost cutting through the stillness of the strange tranquility of being suspended in water when you're not used to that sensation. You all kind of start moving yourselves around. You feel it's tough, heavy armor, things like that. Like, you guys are having a little bit of a hard time, and you're just, getting yourselves used to it. However, you see Bruenor moving with a finesse that you rarely get to see her have on land, and so it's like you're back home. You're swimming in the exact waters you learned first how to swim.
Do you guys happen to see anybody down there that looks like they would be receiving us?
Some shadows, two of those shadowy knight-looking figures with the spiked fists and the strange centurion helmets, spiked web fin on their head, suddenly begin. They kind of like form in front of the dock, just out of like a little wisp of shadow. Like they form and they're there. There's two of them. You hear their heavy boots, even though their feet kind of dissolve into a wisp of shadow, as if some substance is walking on the stone floor of the city, walking toward you. What do you guys do? These two guys are coming toward the ship as if to receive you.
How do you do, gents?
I was gonna say, yeah. How's their demeanor?
It's tough to read. It's like you see the kind of just that centurion style helmet, shadow, like a shadowy wisp of nothing behind the kind of cross in their mask. They don't give a lot away emotionally with just their with a first observation. They aren't like running like running at you with a fist up. So if that much of detail helps, it does. They're not on defense. They're not holding weapons other than these spiked gauntlets that they seem to wear. Their kind of shining breastplates gleam through the shadowy darkness of the water. But yeah, Thoricus, if you're, are they alert to what's going on? It doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem like the alarm's been set.
I just didn't know. It sounded like they might be angry marching, like, like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yeah, it's true. I gave him a bit of an angry trudge.
You think they sent an escort?
They just are wearing heavy shit. That's why it's flanking so hard. They're not angry.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
Happens. It's heavy shit problems,
Okay, so yeah, let's let the captain do his thing, because he's supposed to be in charge, right?
Aye, Captain. Yeah. But not, because I'm the captain. You're not the captain. I can't say aye, Captain. We're on business from Ulara.
You see they're both heads, turn kind of in unison toward each other. You see a little wisp of shadow as some kind of communication between their two forms, and they turn their hands back. You see they reach their spiked gauntlets out, and each one of them is beckoning toward the chains that hold Bruenor.
No. It's look, don't touch.
Mm-mm.
I caught her. I want to bring her in.
You see they look back at each other. This little black wisps between them, and they turn back. You see they both kind of walk to the side of you guys, and whoever's holding, if you think of her like a 4-pointed star, they go to the side too. You guys can declare who wants to be where, but they grab the arm of the person holding the chain.
I'll be one of those, sure.
Divit, you see their kind of the strange metal gauntlets wrap around your scrimshard bone arms. Yeah, they're not squeezing. They're not really trying to show authority. There's just a sense of possession. Like, it's like they need to be connected to this in some way. Like that's whatever their orders are.
Yeah, we're still taking her in. So you can hold my hand if you want to, but we're the ones turning them in. If you gotta hold my hand and make that happen, then that's fine.
Strong grip, Shadow Boy.
You two picked the finest arms, I swear, between the bulging biceps of Thoricus, Onyxheart, and the newest member of the drowned Hounds, Divit. Look at that scrimshaw. I know you looked at that scrimshaw.
That's good scrimshaw.
That's good scrimshaw.
They looked like, you see a little wisp that you can only assume means that's good scrimshaw. You can tell. You can kind of tell. All right, so you guys are standing here on this northern dock area. Again, these guys don't seem to be like extremely personable. They're just kind of standing, still waiting for you guys to move or what have you. They're not leading the way. They're not gesturing you in any direction. Now, Bruenor, to the north of you guys, the palace, it's hard. I mean, even from where you stand, you can see the great pillar of the castle standing before you, pointing up to that shadow dragon cloud kind of looming over the city. You need to go through the city, but you do notice, as you kind of start the paths that lead toward the castle, the jet of black wisps is so dense that there's literally like hundreds of these troops walking around. And while you stand here, pretty confident in the success of your ruse to this point, you do think that it's like that's a lot of prying eyes. It gets harder to sell the deeper you get. So just to step out of the mechanic real quick, we're gonna approach this like a skill challenge. Okay, so you're literally marching. There's it's like there's a city full of an aggressive army as you guys are sneaking through the streets. Okay, you're allowed to use whatever skills, whatever abilities or powers your character has to augment how you would facilitate getting you guys where you need to go. Okay, so we're going to play this section out, this getting to the Royal Palace sequence, as a skill challenge. Okay, so you guys, we're doing it similarly to we did with the Malachite Mountains. We need 5 successes before we get to 3 fails. All right, so keep in mind, you currently have these 2 shadows with you guys. So that might play into what you guys want to do.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely want to stay away from any large crowds, and believe me, as a prince, I've been able to sneak my way through town so many times to kind of avoid the eye of the major public. Like, some people knew me out, but others, I didn't walk through the center of town like a weird dipshit. But I did happen to know that there is a way through the gardens that kind of also goes through like the nightlife district, because that's where I was most of the time anyway. So I like to party, and he likes to party. She likes to party. Mm-hmm.
We like.
So I guess I want to, whoever's in the front, Divit, right? I know at this point that he can kind of read minds, so I want to kind of have the thought. I want to think as loud as I can. Like, we got to get through the garden to get to like the cool part of town. So, and that way, maybe we get like, I don't know how these shadows communicate with each other, but maybe if we get them completely isolated in a because the gardens are overgrown, right?
Yes.
So if we can get the shadows kind of in like a really isolated part of the garden, Thoricus and Divit can fuck some shit up with their dates, their escorts that they have right now.
All right, I like that a lot. So Bruenor, we're going to do it like this. So it's 2 parts. One, to kind of reward the creativity of that thought. You will get them to a secluded area, a place, you noticed in the overgrowth of these like long algae, they fold over themselves and and then rebloom again. And so it's like, it looks like it's just this big collection of plants, but underneath there's these big bubbles of empty space. Mm-hmm. And so you're kind of like, you gesture over to everybody to kind of head that way. So that will, I'll let you know, open up an opportunity to deal with them away from prying eyes. Mm-hmm. And then Bruenor, you're going to give me, for your part of the skill challenge, it's going to be a history check, because yes, you roamed through the nightlife a lot, but you were usually pretty tanked when you did.
Yeah.
So the which left is right and which up is down is a little harder now that you're looking at a somewhat changed landscape before you.
If this were some sort of like sitcom, I'd like have to get drunk again and smoke a lot of seaweed to like know where I went the last time. But
Be like, one
this
sec,
is-
guys. And then there'd be all the smash cuts of like,
Yes.
Call it submersion therapy because you're underwater.
Yeah,
I'm not above
yeah.
doing that, so maybe it'll happen later. And then you'll have to go on a date with 2 guys at the same time. Whoa, whoa.
Oh, no.
All right.
Cool.
So
let's see how
I know the history check
this is our
has
biggest-
long been the nemesis of the 5.
our foe. Okay.
You got this. You fucking got this.
Now, Bruenor, again, and this is the nature of skill checks, so you just gotta tickle the DM's fancy with your thinking. I like this notion is good. It's like, hey, I used to use the back streets to get through these towns so that I wasn't noticed. I used to party here all the time. You're like putting it all together. You also haven't been there in a long time, and it's like when you drive through an old town, you're like, I remember everything, but I couldn't tell you how to get anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
And so that is the nature. I will give you the advantage on your history check, okay? So the challenge rating on these skill checks is going to be set at a DC 15 as default.
Well, you know. Okay.
Fucking history checks.
Freaking kidding me.
Get out of here.
Okay. So everything cool. I
Don't you have downloadable again?
You got some inspiration too, right?
I don't have an inspiration.
I
do.
get
The bardic
Wait,
inspiration.
So I do have bardic inspiration, so I can do that because I need to get us going. Because I was like almost like I don't want to use that on that, but I just need to get us going. So it's a D6, right?
It is, and the DC's 15. You rolled a 14. Go ahead and roll it because rolling dice is amazing. I'm just gonna roll this one.
Fine.
All right, so yeah, you end up with a 17. You pass. That is your first success. Let me erase this failure because I'd already marked it. Excellent.
Oh my
news.
god.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah,
Gotta
You
get
know,
started. Gotta get this going.
you're in the
Can't
shadow
start
realm. You know, Divit's abilities are being a little heightened, and maybe he glanced some issues in the future.
Yeah, I literally went, it's funny. So it's funny, you're like, okay. And so Divit probably with his mind is like, okay, where do we go? And I'm like, and he goes, think, Bruenor. And I go, oh yeah, sorry, left, sorry, yeah, chop.
All right, so that will lead us. All right, so Bruenor, you know, you kind of look around, you notice no other welcoming party. You know, again, not your city now, but anytime anything like this would happen, it's like if they were on high alert, you would assume a higher amount of people would come. They have access to hundreds, maybe thousands around you. It's strange that only 2 would come to escort 5. So it does certainly seem like your ruse is working. You manage, instead of strafing toward the castle, you start walking back toward the botanical gardens, and you see that there's a little sense of hesitance as you guys all move and the shadows stop and kind of stay focused, face toward the castle. But Bruenor, with a little bit of stubbornness and strong will, you're able to kind of scoot them your direction, and you walk into this botanical area, lifting back one of these, big folded areas, revealing one of these kind of concealed little bubble areas. I would say that is where we open up an opportunity for whoever next wants to attempt a check in this skill check.
Yeah, I want to, since I'm already harnessing Shantia's light and goodness, I want to ask for her divine intervention in this case and emanate as much holy light from our group as possible as to cast the shadows away.
Okay, so you're trying to do actual divine intervention, right? Like the 10%
Yeah.
chance divine intervention. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can't give you, this is big though. This could be a huge boon for you and your party in this moment. The direct bereft of a god granting you a little bit of protection and guidance through your journey. This is, however, a 10 out of a 100 chance of happening. You've got a 10% chance. Do you want to go with high or low? Do you want 90 through 100 or 1 through 10?
Let's go with high, baby.
Yes, let's go. The story of my life. Let's go with high, baby, by Bam. All right. So it is a 1d100 roll on that dice roller. And if it's 90 or above, Tynna, you will be benefited the divine intervention of Shantia. If not, you'll just do a normal skill challenge. A 10!
Oh, no, we went high though. We went
You
high.
went high,
we
though.
went high.
Oh, I'm getting excited.
I got so excited. Because I saw the 10 and then the other one was still rolling. And I was like, well, it's got to be a 0 to... All right. Well, I know what we all want me to do in this moment, but I'm not going to do it. So we picked high. That's it. Sometimes when you pick high, the world goes low.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Sometimes your god just says "fuck you," and you know.
She's like, I'm not doing enough for you already? Come on.
You know, like a 10% chance is a bit of a slap to the face, right? Like, it's like, yeah, maybe I'll come help you. Agent of my glory in the real world.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
She's
so
like,
again,
underwater?
just to edify,
No, it's
gods are
good.
multidimensional
It's icky down
beings
there.
too. So they got a lot of stuff going on. It is a little hard in this moment for her to reach into this dark shadow. Now, your powers are still benefiting you. You're still, you know, a cleric of Shantia. But unfortunately, your ability, Divine Intervention, did not work. But go ahead and give me, I mean, you could still, and in the skill challenge, you could still, you know, you tried it, you're like, help me do this. And she's like, nah. And you're like, all right, well then, I gotta do something
Okay, I got
else.
this myself, and I'll just pump up the light around myself using what she's taught me, her wisdom.
Do you want to buff the party? You have certain spells that you could use, or do you just want more of like a general? Because what we could do is we could do like a religion thing where it's like you're trying to reach out through religion. It would be a religion check DC 15, and you're trying to like reach out and just kind of harness the light as you enter deeper into the shadow. We could do something like that as well.
Yeah, that sounds sick. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, so having the bereft of that advantage, the 15 is a pass. So that's, you guys are cooking through this very nice.
How many do we need?
You see, as the divine light, you know, you're kind of floating. What was that? Yeah, 5. You guys are kind of in this kind of beautiful, you know, even though it's overgrown, it's this like electric-y blue-green kind of folded, soft lamb's ear style leaf that just has these little hairs that kind of flow in the ocean. And it is a very beautiful plant. And you're in this little pocket underneath it. And Tynna, you kind of start calling upon that radiance, and you see, you know, this sea plant life is still plant life, you know, and so connecting to a new life connection, a type of plant you never have. You touch the light, and it almost like turns the lights on inside this glowing area, and you see it gets so bright inside that the shadows that are holding on to the 2 arms both let go. They're like kind of like dazed by this occurrence. So that is the result of your skill challenge. You call upon this warm light. It does take away the held condition from 2 of your party members, and you got a success along with getting closer to the end of your challenge.
Okay. Thank you, Shantia. Thank you.
She's
Yo,
like 10% of the time. I got your back.
Yeah.
Since they let go of us, can I take a crack at a 3rd attempt?
Yes.
Okay, now that they're not holding on to us, I want to do my Mantle of Inspiration. And now, because my charisma is 20, I can pick 5 people for it to affect. So, whole group, everybody gets to move without incurring an AOO and gets 8 temporary hit points.
Nice. So this is like a cool little thing too. It's like they let you go. And now you guys can all kind of dash out of this flower down the street that Bruenor successfully has, like, there's a back alley down there that'll lead the way, you know, with her success. This will give you like temporary hit points and a boost shot to get away. Is that basically what you want to do?
Yes.
Sweet. All right. So I like
Because
the
everybody
idea.
can
Let's
immediately use their reaction to move up to their speed without an opportunity attack. So.
Yeah, so it gets you away from them. What your check will then be, Divit, is as you guys enter this back alley, you're going to represent a stealth check for the group.
Cool.
All right, so with no prying eyes on you, I'm going to grant you the same advantage. So it is a DC 15 stealth check with advantage.
All right.
Sweet. All right, so Divit, as you guys kind of, the shadows from which you also derive your power source, are still attuned to these strange shadows around you. You find yourself able to kind of cloak the group in a little wave of shadow, just blending in with other shadows of the sort. You see Brian, Rial, Captain Griefus, Thoricus, you guys all kind of like diffuse into a little flow of shadow as you move along the ivory and gold-leafed streets of Elmyyra. It's like the colors are all still rather pristine and sharp, even though this mildew of shadow has kind of tainted all of these once pure sights. You see great churches and great libraries now hollow and empty as you kind of move. It's strange, like you said, it's full of life, but still strangely hollow. You would expect more noise to be filling a street this bustling and a thriving community with pillars this great. You guys are moving along the streets. You see a big cloud of shadows kind of marches by. And then you see form out of this little wisp of shade about 8 of those soldier heads. And they all, their heads turn and look at the area that you stand at the side of this little alleyway that Bruenor's guiding you guys down. You see these little wispy shadows reach out and kind of tickle the shadow that Divit has surrounded you guys with. Comes back. Their heads turn. And they continue on down the street. Your disguise has worked. And so you've accrued your 3rd success.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is so stressful. I'm so scared. It's scary. In fact,
right.
Bruenor even has a moment where it is very stressful, but things are going well so far. And so Bruenor's like, I almost wonder if this is how my sister expected me to get into the guest. I wonder if she just was like, well, of course she's gonna fucking go in the back way.
You start looking around and there's like little candy on the ground every few steps. You're like, should I be following the candy?
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, piece of candy, yeah. So there's this weird thought in the back of her mind, where she's like, oh, but I want to duck us into a bar. I want to go through an abandoned bar or something and walk through it and go out the back door, into the back alley type situation.
All right, yeah, you kind of pop through one of these, these weird half-splintered doors. Again, it's it looked like a battle took place here, but it's not like it was sustained for a long time. So some of the doors are broken and splintered. There's definitely something happened one time here, and it's but near the borders of the town, everything's destroyed. The great walls have been raised, and so it's like they preserved the kind of inside core of this vast expanse of city. And you pop a door open, and you can't help but remember. It's like you slap it right where if you hit it just right, it'll swing back and hit the bell that'll make this little sound, and so you tap the door, it opens, you hear the bell sound, and you look, and you just see kind of this sad sight of these shadows, not the armored ones, but the ones that kind of have these billowing, shadowy cloaks over them, all hunched over the bar, like the miserable souls that were there day in and day out, that had, given their whole lives to this establishment, even in death, even in servitude toward a shadow god, still find themselves hunched over that same bar, asking for a drink that will never whet their thirst. You just see them floating at this kind of haunting, a place where everybody knows your name. And, but yes, the life of this room, a place you once enjoyed, seems very hollow and still.
Yeah, you can't go home again, right? Isn't that the saying? You can't go home again or whatever.
I pour up a round for those.
I was gonna say, let's just get some Jaeger bombs going. Just right
whether they can drink it or not, it's there.
I love that. Yeah, Divit. You just kind of, saunter around the bar. Wispy spirits. It's like, Divit, are you kidding me? He's all about it. You just line up some glasses. It's like the idea of drinking underwater. It's like you pour some kind of very dense liquid that actually sits inside of a shot glass at a bar, and you just pour it in and line it up. You see the shadows, in turn, they just drink it. You see the liquid disappear into the void of shade as they continue, still kind of cursed with the same blight in life that they seem to carry now in shadow. But you do offer them some respite, Divit, and that's something that it's like, death would have you believe that spirits are just these wispy essences to be controlled and moved around, but you find that there is a peace you can bring a spirit by offering it a goodness. and you kind of, as you feel that beat of the acorn of death growing within inside you, you realize that this temperament, this fundamental shift in the dichotomy of what death and suffering is, that there is still, like you, a pink mist inside of it that could be something more. And you start to connect with that greater sense of this looming prophecy of death that kind of haunts over you. And although the shadows, don't connect with your eyes or make a gesture toward you, you can feel a radiance in their spirit. And however, they return to the bar. They stay at that damn bar, as they have so long before.
Their particular brand of death saddens me, because that's not how it has to be.
Indeed. Yes, you an agent of death, Divit, as you start to understand it and, grow toward an understanding and mastery of it. It is this, this shadow of Exonius, this type of, Sithesis's brand of shadow is far removed from the balance of death and life. It is a blight of its own. And though it dances in the forms of shadows and death, things you're very familiar with, it is its own entity indeed, and it is one of maliciousness and hatred. All right, you guys are creeping down that street. You kind of make it to a bend. You see now, it's almost starting to get thick with shadows. It's becoming almost impossible to not have to pick a way or somewhere that'll expose your guys, a bit more than you would like as you kind of start maneuvering your ways through these strange buildings and back alleyways. So this brings up our fourth challenge. As you guys get closer, this will be getting harder. So the intensity of the potential to be caught is ever present around you, and so you're still kind of moving. The two shadows that you burst away with by Divit's magic haven't been able to catch up with you or find you. You now move unencumbered by shadow troops as you move kind of deeper and deeper into this wade of darkness. Who's up?
Can I pick up what Bruenor's putting down? I can get her signals, and while this city is majestic, this is something absolutely, I could tell it was wonderful once. But still, I would like to work out the mechanics, the architecture of the city, and find the stealthiest place where we could potentially go for our next move. Just kind of work things out, especially in the darkness, as much as I can.
All right, your skill check's gonna come with a double here, okay? So you're gonna do a history check, which I know you hate, but that history, that will benefit whether or not you get advantage on this stealth check, okay? So it's basically, again, to kind of compound on the difficulty of this challenge getting harder as you move.
Right.
Oh, Mr. It's a dirty 20. It's a dirty 20, but it's definitely the highest history check we've ever rolled in the history of the show.
Yeah.
16 months.
Breaking the mold.
I'll smoke to it. I don't care.
You could say it's historical.
Man.
Historical.
I can and I will. All right, so I know that seemed a little obtuse, but yes, so by your knowledge of the architecture, again, this all kind of stems from the original Elven architecture. This is almost like when the sacred elves left the Feywild and became made the race of elves. It was like that style of architecture that this is showing to. And one thing about that culture that is they were very akin to the seasons. And so in their architecture, there's almost a seasonal outlet of the warmth of the sun of summer is the royal castle. And so you start seeing in the architecture that it's like, if I follow the signs of the summer seasons, I will be following the most direct line to get to the castle, which represents the summer, the warmth of summer, even in the ocean kingdoms. And so, yes, so now it's still a DC 20, but it is a DC 20 stealth check, but you have advantage. And this is the actual skill check that results to the skill challenge itself.
And the way you put it down, man. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, there's not too often that Bruenor feels like kinship with Rial as far as elves go, just because the sea elves have been so far removed from high elves that you know, it's not like I see that you are an elf, but like it's just we've been underwater and so like removed and isolated for so long in that way that like I just don't see it. But seeing him just kind of like catch on to like the flow of the city is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, you're also like nerd. Like he's a huge nerd too. He's like a huge architecture nerd because he's like he's the first one to point out. He's like, yes, the Summer Crest, and you feel kind of the grooves. You're inspired by the architecture, and yeah, exactly. There's a kinship in the elves in this moment, So you guys are kind of progressing along. That Rial, here we go. So this is your stealth. Utilizing that direct line, you realize that like the longer you're out here, probably the worse it is. So the direct line to the castle may be your best bet. And that may include climbing over the buildings or swimming over some of these buildings and things like that. So go ahead and give me your stealth check. You do have advantage, and it is a DC 20.
We'll do what we have to do. This was something I know the architecture so well because it was what I hoped to see, and then I got handed off to Ergon, so things didn't quite work out how I hoped. So actually seeing this architecture again, it's
yes, poor Rial and his tortured many years.
So if anything's gonna throw off a stealth check, it's
right.
Bills.
Yeah, okay.
31?
He's like, I just got a 31. Rial suddenly stealths so hard you guys lose him. You're like, shit, Rial's at the castle, and he's like, I lost him. I was so stealthy.
He'd have gone straight to the castle.
Yeah, no, Rial, no stranger to the art of stealth. You notice that now the density of these shadow wisps in the area, it's like you're almost bumping into shadows no matter where you go. And you notice that the jets of shadow now go over the spires of some of these buildings as well. And you're like, perhaps rather than through, we go over. And you just kind of follow, just kind of piggybacking off the trail of some wisp of shadow before you, some accumulation of these shadowy spirits that populate this city. And you follow their trajectory over and under, and then you through a small little banister, and kind of using the way that you just move even in a normal street to your advantage. You just kind of quickly keep your eyes away from the prying eyes of the shadow people that are all around. You guys see the castle stretched out in front of you now, and it's more majestic than anything save some of the palace that you saw in the Feywild. It is directly it was one of the finest castles ever created that faced on the face of the earth, even if set in the ocean. The pearl of the deep, the walls themselves made of pure pearl, opulescent a bit in its tranquility. It's like a wispy visage of its own self. It's like being 3 years old and seeing the Disneyland castle for the first time. It's just like there's a sacred reverence to this place that is so powerfully marred by the looming presence of this dragon that hovers above it. The master of this realm that sits before it, and it's just so striking, the comparison of the two things. You've reached the another check. Here we go. If this is a success, you guys are in and through, and if it's a failure, you have 2 more shots. So who's up? I think Thoricus, you're left, right? You still have one. You still have one. All right.
Yeah. Sorry, I was muted and I couldn't find the button.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's me. So yeah, we're walking and we're going through and we're sneaking past, and so what we see the castle, and
Yeah, pretty much there's like a big courtyard betwixt you and it. It's like there's not really a good way to sneak in. You're getting to where the castle is, so there's like tall gates and stuff that would prevent, just any random person from rushing the castle. There's kind of like funneled places that people go, through like, there's not really a drawbridge, but a great stone path that leads you across, where the guarded towers are and stuff, and into the castle core itself. Not really a good like ridge to hide behind anymore. You kind of have to go out into some open space. But how you go about doing that is entirely up to you.
So our goal is to get inside the castle. Am I right in thinking that? Okay,
As
well,
far
then-
as you guys know, yes. Again, it's like you're not really, you don't have the Creefus side of all these details, you know, and so it's like, even though Rial looks like Creefus, he doesn't have the knowledge of the meeting. And Divit, your conversation with Creefus, you know, was pretty sparse on those details, because it's like, it wasn't important at the time, you know, he just assumed you were working for him, and so you would be with him right now. But it's like, you do know, you know, it was like they were contracted to bring them back. Through your conversation with Creefus, you have learned that Ullara, Queen Ullara, had offered Creefus an army. That was his, he seemed not as interested, I'm sure he's interested, in the 10,000 gold coins. That was, you know, your bounty for treason against the city you now walk in. But more so this army that Ullara had promised him. So, you know, putting one and one together, you're going toward where you would assume the king and queen would be found, the castle.
And to be fair, I am also more interested in the army than the gold.
It's a good call. It's a good call. So yeah, I mean, we're just, at this point, you're saying there's really not anywhere that we can be that we aren't going to get seen or run into something, but we're pretty close to the damn castle, right?
Correct.
All right, let's just march right the fuck up. With Bruenor in the thing, we'll march up. The guards will be like, hey, what are you doing? I'd be like, hey, back the fuck up. I'll have a clipboard in this hand and a pen in this hand and be like, okay, I'm sorry, what is your name?
You want to get the Hounds?
And who's your manager? Mm-hmm.
I'll remember that.
Let me see what's your name tag?
Supervisor.
I can't read it. It's not visible. I'm sure it's supposed to be, but I can't read it.
What's the thing that if you walk anywhere with a ladder, like people just let you in anywhere?
Yeah.
Like you walk anywhere with a clipboard, like people let you into anywhere?
Clipboard and a pen with a piece of paper on it, and you ask more questions than they're ready to handle. You can literally go anywhere.
You are not wrong, Thoricus, and with the power of the clipboard of the Stone Reavers, you know, it's you were a military leader, man. You knew the power of walking in with just writing something down. You know, it's like it does a lot.
Pen is mighty.
So Thoricus, with your back the fuck off, we're going intimidation.
Yep, that's what I was gonna go for anyway.
Now again, this
let
is
him know. Yeah, like it's we're the Drowned Hounds. We've got the traitor. The queen is expecting us, you know, or whatever. Like, just you don't want to stop us, dude.
all right. DC 20. Oh, the Ferocious Five just absolutely wrecked the this series of objectives. Thoricus, you know, it's like at this point the ruse is all held. You have Captain Creefus, you have Bruenor in chains. You start walking toward just basically toward the gate of the castle, you know, just like, fuck it, we're going in. Yeah. And you notice as you start moving through, it's like the shadows notice what's happening. They suddenly, rather than just whispering around and stopping, you see this haunting visage of just hundreds of these hooded shades, you know, some in the metal helmets of the army and the military, but mostly these just shawls, you know, just kind of haunting visages of whirring shadow of the populace of this town, all stopping for a moment. And as you start kind of moving down this stone gateway toward the giant pearl gateway that leads into the castle itself, it seems like some of the shadows start taking a knee. And there's just this kind of like wave of like shadows bent over on their knee as Bruenor, you know, hands in chains, kind of looking around at these shadows on either sides of you. You see probably about half of them are taking a knee.
This makes Bruenor emotional because, like, these are her people, you know, and she let them down, and there's still something inside of them that honored her. And so she's just kind of taking this moment as she's walking, because before there was like, we gotta get the fuck through here. And now she's like, okay. So she's just like, everything's really setting in that she's here. She's here with her five, like she's got her core people here that are gonna like be there, and that her people, right? Like these people have helped her through some of the hardest times of her life. And it still doesn't stop the fact that like the person she was probably died with these people. And so it's just so much grief that she's just like, it's taking a lot of step in her to just not like show it and just be more of like trying to look like I was caught, this sucks. But you can tell that she's just like so sad in this moment.
Bruenor, it's connecting to those shades in the bar that you pass through. These tragic souls kind of cursed to this thing, this connection, this repeating lifestyle. So too you see that same curse of sadness in both the you that you lost and the people that were lost alongside you. It's this, even though they can do nothing to help you or hurt you in this moment, there's this devotion, this curse of their very being to show, loyalty to your family and the royal line of Elmyyra. And so it's no different than the drunks at the bar getting their drink that doesn't whet their thirst. You see, as these haunted souls, so too don't get the drink that they so desperately need. But just the act itself speaks to the strength of the belief of the people in the royal line of Elmyyra. All right. You guys have successfully managed your way to the gates. You see the two guards, similarly to the two that accepted you, kind of appear out of nowhere. Spiked gauntlets, their big, centurion helmets with the big webbed fins and spikes. They kind of float over toward you. You see they have legs, but they're not really using them. You don't hear the clamp of their metal feet. They just kind of float over toward you. Thoricus, you hit him with your big money intimidation. Clipboard out. Immediately, he's like, "Oh no, it's cool, man. Don't." All right, well, Deborah is technically my boss, but she reports to Jerry, and me and Jerry went to college together. So, you see the shadows are totally destroyed by your clipboard action. You manage to back them off, and the gates are open for you. And you see the inside of this beautiful palace, the Palace of Coral, as you see these like pearl walls and giant stained glass windows that spill in this weird ambient light from this like phosphorescent algae that grows along the ridges of the window frames. And there's just this like haunting kind of blue and green light that shoots like wisps, like a sunbeam through underwater, where it breaks in places and just kind of washes around you. There's an intense sense of serenity that washes over you as the kind of like green and blue light spills on your skin as you step into this lavish foyer. There's big giant spiral staircase, a giant carpeted path of stairs that leads up. Bruenor, directly to the royal chamber. This is where, when people come to pay homage, you are not allowed to swim. You must connect your feet to the stairs that lead up to the royal throne room, which is above, so that the central stairway goes up to them. There's spiral chambers that go off to other parts of the castle. Bruenor, you know all of them if there were a specific one you sought. But you're now standing basically in the main chamber of a completely empty castle. Again, that sense of stillness and quiet, the non-marching steps and feet. There is a strange reverence to this place. Tynna, you're familiar with it as if walking into a church. There is something both holy and traditional in the Coral Castle.
Do the doors close behind us and there's no shadow people in there?
You would have to close the doors. They are open currently.
Okay. I can't close the doors. I'm in chains.
Hey, buddy, you're gonna want to close those gates. A lot of people saw the prisoner come in. Otherwise, Scott will find out. Thank you so much. Just close those up.
Scott? Oh,
Not Scott.
Look, you don't want Scott, dude. You don't want Scott. There's just like a little wisp. It's like, dude, Scott's a dick, bro.
It's fine. I'm here to do my job.
Hey, no, just remember, just tell him, Jerry, I helped you out. I was here for you. I'm one of you, man. I'm like you.
Sorry,
like
do you have what clearance are you?
They call me Shadow 6.
It doesn't matter. Scott, it's fine. Just close the gate.
You're right. I'm sorry. You see, they're like, close the door. We don't want anybody. You see that? I mean, they know. They're like, we don't want the crowds rushing the return of the prince. Oh, and the doors are closed.
As soon as the doors close, it's kind of like, you know how like when you go over to your friend's house and your friend has like a much nicer house than you have, they still like kick off their shoes and like throw their shit on the floor as if it's like, because they're so used to it.
Yeah.
So in that moment, like as soon as the doors close, I just like throw off all the chains, like as if like it's no big deal. And I throw up all the chains and I like, you know, like kind of take a moment to like I step away and I step into the foyer, but I'm more like in myself right now. And I think like, God, these people kneeled to me and I betrayed them. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like Bruenor's like, like kind of reeling right now.
All right. Make me, I would say whoever in this case has the highest perception. Give me a perception check. Bruenor, you're kind of, I'm just going to take the 2 23s that we got right out the gate. no, Bruenor, I'll take the 23. You know, you're so familiar with this cat. This is an empty pot. This is almost the room at everybody's rich friend's house that no one goes in, that table room that has all the china and the dressers and stuff. Like, I was never allowed near those rooms. They have the carpet. I was sticky all the time and dirty. I was a little urchin. And so it's like, yeah, the room that they were like, don't even get near it. Like, don't touch the light switch in there. Like, you're not good enough for that room. That's this place. This is where everything's presentational. This is the big, you know, showroom. And so you're just kind of like looking around. You pop off the shackles and the chains and everything. You're looking around. You're like, well, there's no shadows. I'm certainly not seeing any. You're kind of just like, man, it is strange to be in these halls again. You know, I'm in the clean room right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's like a little bit of like hesitation to like, I would normally sneak out the back and never go through the main gate. And then you're like looking at the stairs that ascend the spiral staircases, and you notice about halfway up the staircase, you know, that leads to like a higher floor of the castle where you know directly toward the throne room. There's this strange hat just sitting on the staircase. It's like this big stovetop hat that kind of curves at the end. And it's just kind of sitting there like strangely. You see like one beam of like that like green light coming in through the stained glass window kind of projects down on it. And it immediately strikes you, Bruenor. You're like, it's very out of place and does not make sense.
You trying to barrel us right now with this barrel hat situation?
Hat barrel?
What you trying to do here?
You can't even put a hat on stairs anymore.
Is it a mimic?
Oh, the whole castle was a mimic. You guys just walked into it.
I am immediately drawn towards it because it's a hat.
Yeah, Divit, the purveyor of hats far and wide. Quite the haberdasher in your own right. You're welcome.
Freelance if I will.
Yeah. You start walking toward it, and suddenly, like, as you start, kind of stepping up you can swim, obviously, as well, but Divit, you don't really float, so it's, like, pretty easy for you to just kind of, like, walk on the stairs at the bottom of the ocean. You're headed up toward the stairs, and as you approach it, you see the hat kind of starts floating up. Almost like the opposite of, like, a leaf falling, but it's, like, kind of starts drifting up in the water of itself. And then you hear from Bruenor's backpack.
Yes, actually, Divit. That belongs to Dr. Gast.
Bruenor, you kind of like feel this weird sensation. You guys all kind of turn and look, and you see the helmet of Dr. Gast, or the skull of Dr. Gast draws on the cigar, and then just these weird bones start kind of crawling out like spiders out of the back of Bruenor's backpack. Bruenor, you feel the weird sensation of these like strange moving bones all over your skin, and they start kind of moving forward and dragging themselves. You see the one arm with the cigar grabs the floor and is kind of hopping its way over. Suddenly the head rolls. You see it pops up in the air and the cigar goes. You see a skeletal hand catches it in the air as he pulls the hat down over the rim of his head. You see Dr. Gast standing there in his full glory. And this is the second time where it's been like, oh, Brandon, you got that, right? You see, I'm just going to throw this in there. You see he's got this little, like, the strange hat has this little cross on it with all these little tiny skulls over it. And he has a sweet, like, black trench coat that just hangs over his, like, skeleton body. You know, he's got soulless, or, like, hollow eyes and no nose. And it's just kind of like stone-toothy smile. You see the cigar smoke, even in the water, still smoking as he puffs on this strange cigar that he smokes. Ah, thank you for getting me into the castle. This was easier than I thought. And as he laughs, you see these strange black waves waving all around you, and it reveals that in fact you are surrounded by about 100 of these armored, spike-fisted army militants of shadow. You see sitting around on all of the swirling balconies as if they're like lined up in great adoration waiting to see the spectacle. There's not a wall sconce that doesn't have a shadow hanging on the edge of it. A seat at every table is filled with a shadowy soul. All these haunted visages now turn and look your way. You feel the cold stare of 100 shadows filling your spine as Dr. Gast's laughter reveals them before you. I did not think this would be so simple. Oh, welcome to my trap. And that's where we're going to pick it up next time, guys.
Oh, damn.
Fuck.
Fucking fuck.
I can't make any friends in this place anymore.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I liked that skull.
I thought
I
he
really
was
liked
a nice
him.
guy.
What
Still-
Oh, Dr. Gas is
still
dope.
love
You
him.
I
can
should have
still
pissed
like
in
him.
that skull when I had a second.
I should have known he
shoot.
could smoke underwater.
Smoke
Dead-
underwater.
Son of a bitch.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. I freaking love you guys. I seriously, I look forward to this every week. I fucking love it so much. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us. Holy crap, dudes. This is section 60 freaking 1. As you can see, we are headed towards some pretty pivotal showdowns that lead us to the resolution of our prologue. So hang with us, team, because these next ones are going to be banging. I can't wait to see what's going to happen because I honestly don't know. I get to find out what they want to do, and then I tell them how it goes down. Excellent gamesmanship tonight, guys. I absolutely love playing Dungeons & Dragons with you so freaking much. You are 5 of my favorite people in the entire world, and that's not a lie. And I just saw a cattail, and I always knew Jake had a cattail, and I always knew it. And now, he's got it. The baby. Oh, I love him. And I love you guys. Thank you so much. Again, huge shout out to the Buds community. Thanks for all the amazing support. Thanks for every single person who even just throws the browser, does whatever you do. Thank you for helping support this thing. Shout out to Jason Harris over at NPR. They did a freaking amazing little profile on the show. We've dropped that on our socials and stuff. Check those things out. All these amazing people do amazing things all the time. Just come find us all over the various spots on the internet and support, man. Try to just get hyped on what everybody's fucking doing, man. I love seeing all the creation that I see every day in this Twitch sphere and YouTube, and just like it's so good to see how you fucking creators create. And goddamn, if that's not a life well lived. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. In order to wrap this thing up, though, we got to take these little lighters, do our little ritual that we like to do around here. Maybe you've heard about it. Maybe you haven't. We like to take a lighter like our WeeDnD ones that say lighters up on the back. Make sure we're not going to light any of our friends, family, or that cute little kitty on fire, and go. Light us up. Thank you so much for playing D&D with us, guys. We fucking love you.
Hell yeah.
Seriously, though.
We love
I
you.
got butt crushed.
I'm gonna cough.
We won't do you dirty like that fucking skull, asshole.
Oh, Dr. God.
Jeez.
More like Dr. Ass.
Dr. Ass.